Bryn, dating and relationship expert and love coach, welcoming you to the Love Coach in My Pocket podcast, where we talk about all sorts of things related to dating and relationships in this crazy modern world. Thanks for joining us. I hope you loved the episode, and please leave us a review. Hi, welcome back to the Love Coach in My Pocket podcast. I'm your host, Whitney Coburn, love coach and dating and relationship expert. Today we are going to talk about something near and dear to my heart, which is the power of our self-talk. So everybody kind of knows that in order to have a loving relationship, we need to first love ourselves. But most of us don't really know if we love ourselves, how much we love ourselves, how much should I love myself, or how to improve our self-love. There's been a lot of talk about self-care and self-care Saturdays, but what I have found is somebody can be getting manicures and bubble baths and doing self-care, but still when they make a mistake, beat themselves up, call themselves stupid, I'm an idiot, of course no one would want me. We are more mean to ourselves than we would be to almost anybody. We all have this inner voice dialogue constantly running from the moment we wake up until nighttime, right? Did I turn off my stove? Oh, I'm tired. Oh, I need to call mom. What's on my list? What should I wear Friday night? Oh, I need to lose weight. Oh, I need to get back in the gym. Whatever it is, this voice is just constantly going. Unless we meditate, embody, there are practices that we do specifically to quiet this voice, which I do highly recommend because we need to take a break from it. But throughout our day, we're going to hear it. It's just going to be there. We can't deny it. But what's weird is that when we're talking to other people, we have a filter, right? We think about the consequences. We don't want to hurt someone, maybe. Most of the time when we're talking to somebody, especially someone we care about, we have a filter. And there's certain things that we just won't say. But with yourself, often we don't have that filter. And we will say things like, I hate you, you're an idiot. I didn't even realize years ago, when I started really paying attention to this inner dialogue, I realized I was actually saying, I hate you, when I was getting really upset and frustrated. And so that's just the first thing is I want you to notice your self-talk, especially when you're dealing with fear or anger or frustration or feeling guilty about something. Watch what you say to yourself. Journal about this. Notice it. Awareness is always the first step. And I do have a quiz on, I have a quiz on the app, the Love Coach in My Pocket app. So I highly encourage you to download it and just look for the self-compassion quiz. You should see it there in the free content. Because what I have found is self-compassion is one of the greatest components of self-love. So instead of just worrying about self-care, we need to also pay attention to how we treat ourselves, how we talk to ourselves. And we need to practice compassion. And compassion means having kindness, understanding, patience. Think about how you would talk to your best friend. Right? Let's say that you really liked someone you went out with and they ghosted or rejected you and you're feeling like crap or you're going through a breakup. Sometime when you're just really stressed and emotional, how do you talk to yourself? Most people will go into that judgment. That inner critic will come out and everything is wrong. It's like these crap-colored glasses, right? We have rose-colored glasses when we're delusionally optimistic, and then we've got these crap-colored glasses when we're in a mood and in a funk and going down that downward spiral. So we need to catch ourselves. We need to catch that dialogue and practice speaking to yourself with kindness and understanding. A trick that I have employed that works is imagining yourself as a 6-year-old. We all have that inner child and that inner critic, and those two are often at odds, fighting each other. And that's why we can be going through something where part of us wants to do this and part of us wants to do that. Part of us wants to have comfort and check out from the world and rest and heal. And then the other part of us is judgmental and critical and doesn't let us do that. So it's important that we recognize that these are separate parts of us and that we can manage the relationship between the two of them by consciously paying attention to what we say to ourselves and how we say it, right? Because how we say something is important as well. So self-compassion is so awesome because it's not, I'll talk about some of the common myths and why we don't practice self-compassion. One is that we feel like we're spoiling ourselves, that if I give myself an inch, I'll take a mile, right? Like if you're overworked and overtired and you need to take a rest, some of us just won't even allow that because you're worried about the consequences. You're worried that if you do it one day, that it'll become a pattern or a habit. But the reality is we often can find little pockets and opportunities to give ourselves what we need. And that's an important part too, to just ask yourself, what do I need right now? And if you're in the habit of always taking care of others, maybe work owns a lot of your time and energy, when you are constantly giving and not receiving, and exerting and not replenishing, giving from your empty cup without filling it for yourself, you will have a consequence. You will hit a wall. You might burn out. You might blow up at somebody that you care about. So instead of waiting until it gets really, really bad, it's better just to cut that off at the pass and offer yourself some compassion. So I teach that there are 3 steps to compassion. The first one is awareness. So you stop, you acknowledge what you're feeling. What am I feeling? And we're looking for feeling words here, right? And most people, when we talk about how you're feeling, they just say good or bad. Or there's always something on this spectrum of not too bad, I'm okay, I'm terrible, I've been better. It's always on a scale of good to bad. And that's fine if you are just making small talk with the grocery store cashier and saying, hi, how are you? I'm fine, how are you? But that's not really how you feel. We need to be able to identify our emotions. Are you feeling sad, scared, tired, overwhelmed, happy, joyful, calm, excited? We need to get familiar with these feelings and notice them. So the first step of self-compassion is awareness. What am I feeling? And then where do I feel it in my body? Right? Because we usually do feel something like a tightness in our chest or a lump in the throat or a headache. Maybe we feel jittery and shaky. There's always some kind of feeling, right? Butterflies in the stomach. It's important to notice, pay attention to your body and see how you're feeling. The second step to practice self-compassion is kindness. And kindness means that we offer soothing words and soothing touch. So when we're upset, overwhelmed, angry, sad, whatever it is, we want to talk to ourselves like we would talk to that 6-year-old self. You know what? You did your best. It's gonna be okay. You'll make it through this. This too shall pass. You know, words of encouragement like, it's not over yet. You still have a chance. You could still go for it. You got this, right? It's not all about soothing and relaxing and just dipping out of life. It's sometimes about inspiring and motivating and encouraging ourselves with compassion instead of beating ourselves up and trying to motivate ourselves because, well, you're going to be a loser if you don't do this, or you're too fat, you need to work out. These are not good ways to motivate yourself. Science proves that we actually get a little bit less energized when we beat ourselves up in that way or say something mean. So our self-talk is so important because it affects how you interact, how you show up. It affects everything in your life. So step 2 is kindness. We say soothing words to ourselves, but we also need to add in some soothing touch. Because when you're stressed out, when you're in fight or flight or freeze or fawn, then you need to de-stress. You need to activate the parasympathetic nervous system, P for peace. So that parasympathetic nervous system starts to release your hormones and bring you back down to a centered, calm state. And only when we're back in our centered, calm state can we actually think clearly and make good decisions and take the next action, right? Have you ever noticed that when you're in the middle of a heated argument and your stress level rises and your heart rate rises, that you say things that you regret or wouldn't normally say, or you do things that you regret and wouldn't normally do? So the first step is to calm ourselves down. And that's another reason why I love self-compassion so much as a practice, because it changes your inner voice dialogue. It changes how you talk to yourself, but it also decreases your stress level and helps you to get out of stress so that we can be more level-headed. And let me tell you, that works wonders in relationships, because most of the time in our relationships, one of the biggest problems is that we're stressed. Could be from something outside the relationship, or it could be something inside the relationship, but we are not going to have good interactions with our partners when we're stressed. Even on dates, when you're really nervous and stressed, you might not act like yourself. You might be, jittery, or you might freeze up. So it's important that we have a way to activate that calming part of our nervous system. And self-compassion is a great way. The third step of practicing self-compassion is common humanity. And this has two parts. One, it's about connecting with other people and not being alone, not isolating yourself. And the other part is recognizing that you're human. You're not a machine. You can't just go and be there for everyone and do everything all the time. You have feelings, you have needs, you have a body that needs to be taken care of, a mind that needs to be taken care of. There's just so much that we need to be aware of when we start talking about our self-talk. We all have that inner critic, right? So when your self-talk is really negative, and especially when it gets absolute, right? Like, I'm never gonna meet someone, or I'm always gonna be this way, or I could never. Catch yourself, because those are usually exaggeration. Like, that's a sign that what you're saying is not true. So we want to catch ourselves when we're saying things that are not true to ourselves, because we will absorb that, right? And there's so much power in our words. Everything that we do and become starts from words, right? That's why they call it spelling, because we cast a spell with our words. So Do you start your day with affirmations? I highly recommend it. Starting your day with affirmations, just reminders, things that you know you need to hear, like, I am capable, I am smart, I will accomplish my goals today, I will get closer to my love life goal today, I will interact positively with people, whatever it is. And I just want to say this about affirmations. You have to feel it also. If you just say the words and you're thinking to yourself, yeah, right, this is just not going to happen, this is not true, then it doesn't have the same level of effect. We want to actually feel those positive feelings when we're saying the affirmations to have more of an effect. And a lot of people will, right? A lot of people pray. We have this inner dialogue where we talk to God. And I just want you to think about what's the difference between when you are praying for something that you want versus when you are worrying about something you don't want. There's almost no difference, right? It's internal dialogue happening that maybe the divine are listening and can hear, but it's kind of the same thing. And so when you think about every worry that you have, every self-doubting thought that you have is almost like a prayer that you want that in your life. So that's why it's so important that we learn to filter our own self-talk and offer ourselves patience and kindness and encouragement and compassion, because you deserve it. You deserve it. You are a miracle to even be on this planet. You are worthy of good things, worthy of love. And if you don't feel that way, then I encourage you to talk to somebody, a professional, a coach, a therapist. You can reach out to me. This is what I help people with, is having a great relationship first with yourself. It's the most important relationship in your life, and it will set the tone for all the other relationships in your life. So let's pay attention to how you talk to yourself. Practice self-compassion so that you can feel like you are your own best supporter and cheerleader. Usually we're our own worst enemy, right? But really that's just that inner judge, that inner critic taking over. So if you have a strong inner critic, have you given it a name? Do you talk to it? Or do you just think that it's you? That might sound a little weird if you've never thought about this before, but since we do have many different parts to ourselves, like the inner child and the inner critic, and there's many more possibilities, it can be really helpful to give it a name, to give it a personality, to talk with it. Because when in your voice, your automatic knee-jerk reaction is to say, of course you felt that and lost that, or of course that person didn't choose you because you're fat and loser and this and, you know, we all do it. We all do it, and it's not good. So we need to begin to change that and be that best friend to yourself. That's what self-love is. That's what loving yourself is knowing yourself inside and out, who you are, your different parts and aspects. And so knowing yourself and accepting yourself as you are, and offering that kindness and compassion. That is the best way to self-love. And I have a 30-day self-love course, and I'm working on a self-love challenge that will be just a few days. So again, I highly recommend you go download my app, Love Coach in My Pocket, or visit my website, whitneycobran.com, and check out the resources that are available for you, because you deserve love and you deserve happiness. And if you are not experiencing that right now, I think it's time for you to do something about it. All right, I hope this was valuable for you. I'd love to hear from you. And we'll see you next week when we're going to be talking about discernment versus judgment. Take care.